Here's some 25-year-old fuel. Pretty nasty stuff, has a terrible varnish smell. Let's see if it's still flammable. I'm gonna guess yes.
Whoa! Whoa! That's cool.
Seems to be. Be careful with old gas, everybody. Hey guys, and welcome to Riggs Garage. Today I'm going to put a gas tank on the 1970 Mustang Fastback. This is kind of a how-to video, so this will apply to pretty much 65 through 70 Mustangs, and I'll show you the kit that I'm using here. If you find this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everybody watching. Today I'm going to be using a Kentucky Mustang, 1970 Mustang fuel tank kit. As you can see, it's $140 here on the website. That's got a fuel tank with a drain on it, a fuel sending unit, a hose for the gas filler. It's got mounting screws for the tank, and it has OEM style neck clamps for the fuel filler neck hose. Here we go. Turd sucker. Alright, taped in the box is a O-ring and a lock ring for the sending unit, looks like. Here's where the sending unit's going to go, and this tank does include a drain plug. This is a Kentucky Mustang tank kit. The kit also includes sending unit here, a new gasket for the back side of the car, excellent, a new filler neck, new OEM style clamps. Oh, a trunk key. Yeah, I ordered that separately. You can see why I need that. New bolts. Sending unit O-ring number 2. Before I install a part, I always like comparing the new one to the old one, just to see what I'm in for. In this case, I'm looking at bolt holes. The new tank has more bolt holes than the old tank, presumably because this fits in multiple years, and who knows what Ford did over the years. So it looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 across the front here, 2 on the sides, and across the back I've got 1, 2, 3. The first thing I'm going to do is go around the perimeter with the 7/16 socket. I'm not going to do the fuel neck first because there is a little bit of nasty fuel in there. It's 25 years old and it probably smells bad, so I'm going to leave this closed. There we go. Somebody put bolts with nuts on instead of the sheet metal screws like what came with the kit, so I'm assuming those holes are probably all beat up and stretched out, so I'll probably reuse the hardware that's in the car right now. Oh, that one's already done. Let's go to this next one right here. You see right here? All right, cranker. Good. And you're really helping. I couldn't do this without you. Got it.
Oh, you did?
Yep, you can pull it off. Before I yank the top of the tank out, I'm going to make sure we're disconnected at the bottom. We got a sending unit, fuel gauge, and then I'm just going to slice this little piece of hard line. And I don't think there's anything in there, maybe. Oh, there is a little bit. While the gas tank's draining, I'm going to use 11/30 seconds. Take this filler, the metal filler neck off. And on the back side of the filler neck, remember this little nut that is directly behind the cable tie that holds your cap on. Now just put a hand on the tank, take this neck out. Now we're free. Just made a cut down the side of this net, the hose. Oh yeah, much better. We're going to prepare the surface for the new gas tank to be mounted to. There is some old strip caulking. You can see I'm taking my gasket scraper here. And I will just scrape that off. All the way around.
Dad, what is that?
Also, my fuel line, it's clear at the front of the car, so I'm going to go ahead and blow it out just for kicks. Now, as I've been scraping this, there has been some bare metal exposed. This gas tank's probably going to come out in a while, but I'm going to go ahead and hit it with some black paint, a rust inhibitor, just to make sure I don't keep this car rusting. Like, if I can prevent something, I'm going to do it. So.
Daddy, Finnegan keeps spraying me with gross soapy water.
Here's the orientation of the original sending unit. So we can see that the connection for the gas gauge is at the top. And then at the bottom here, facing upward, is our fuel outlet. Before we install the sending unit, we want to test it to make sure it works. So we only do this job one time. So using your multimeter set to ohms, you will get your positive side, put it on the stud that goes to the wiring of the car. Then you'll ground the negative on the chassis of the sending unit. And you're going to get somewhere around 80, which is good. And then if you've got a helper partner, have them raise the float slowly, and that number on the screen should decrease. Nice. And then slowly put it back down. And we're back to right around 80. So I think this sending unit is good. Let's put it in the tank. Thank you, Mr. Helper.
That's pretty cool how that works.
Sure is.
Does it make electricity or something?
As the paint's drying in the trunk, we'll go ahead and assemble the rest of the gas tank. First thing you want to do is run your finger around the inside of this gasket mating surface and make sure there are no burrs or anything in there because that would compromise your seal. So I'm going to put this rubber O-ring in first. It fits right in the groove. Remember, this tank is upside down. Double checking my seal. Seal is in place. Now we've got a lock ring. I'm just going to tap it in place with the screwdriver. It goes clockwise. You can see little ramps here that will tighten it as I turn it. Now that lock ring will naturally stop once it gets as far as it can go. To seal out the great outdoors, I'm going to use this 3M strip caulk. This is kind of how OEM did it. I scraped it off as you saw previously. The part number here is 08578. I bought this at O'Reilly. I'm sure you can buy it at any auto parts store. Inside you'll see there are strips of caulk separated by wax paper. Let's do it. I went ahead and put extra in the corners because there's some uneven metal the way they put this car together. So that'll smoosh and hopefully seal out any water if I ever have to drive through water. gas tank's in, and it appears that all my holes are lined up, so I'll put bolts in next. I had 10. On the back side here, don't forget this little clip that's on your wire to your sending unit. Just put a bolt through there. Put it in. All right, since we're using the bolts threaded on the bottom, I need a lovely assistant to help me. And she is going to put a wrench on each of those 7/16 bolts from the top, and I will come under the car and bolt them in. Thank you, wrench helper.
Yep.
I'm gonna put on the new filler neck. First, I'll just put a little bit of lube. So it slides right on. Put my new clamp on here as well. Clamps there. Over time, these sheet metal screws that are holding this together have pulled the metal out, making these screws fit pretty loosely in there. So I'm gonna grab a hammer and dolly and just put a dolly back here if I can fit it, and bump these in somewhat so that so the screw threads will catch in there really well and hold this fuel neck on. Just put the dolly on the back side. Here's the end result. We have a nice flat surface. Alright, I shot a little bit of lube on this, and don't forget your new gasket. That'll seal this against the body so water doesn't get in your trunk. Don't forget your other clamp. Now we'll get this on. If you remember on the back here, there's a nut that goes through. 7/16 inch nut. Now there's a rib on the tank here, and there's a rib on the filler neck right here. So I'm going to get close to that, but you don't want to be on top of it. Being right up close to it's going to snug it up right. Seal it nice. If this doesn't seal well, you're going to have fumes in the passenger compartment. So you'll know. Alright, the last thing I'm doing is grabbing a piece of fresh 3/8 fuel line, connecting the sending unit to the chassis of the car, and I'm going to use some fresh stainless steel hose clamps, and I'm going to connect to my sending unit this way. Make sure that's good and tight.